Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. So this is the finale for the 172nd Masterbox Austin Mark V armoured car. I think the last time you saw it, the armoured car had got a first coat of khaki, Vallejo khaki on it, and I think the base may have been painted black. So the base itself, all I did was added Vallejo's flat earth. Then I put some PVA down and some sand to give the impression of some loose dirt or chippings or whatever. Once that was dry, I gave it another coat of flat earth. Then I added Agrax Earthshade to basically give some depth to the texture. Once that was all dry, I then dry brushed flat earth over it again, and then I lightened it with some Iraqi sand in order to highlight the texture. I then added some tufts of grass from Mini Nature. This is my favourite grass flock company. I've since bought some Army Painter flock, and I don't like it as much. I think the Mini Nature stuff seems a bit more natural, a bit more haphazard in the way they structure the tufts, and it just gives them a more natural look, I think. The Army Painter stuff seems to be quite uniform. Obviously you can adjust it, I'm sure, by cutting bits off and shortening patches, but I would prefer the look of the Mini Nature stuff. And then that was basically it for the base. Quite a simple construction, and but I must admit I do like the way it's turned out. The captain, or whatever he is, some form of commissioned officer, if you recall, I painted him in a dry brush manner, so he was painted first of all Corvus Black from Games Workshop, and then I dry brushed the English uniform from Vallejo over him. I just picked out obviously his flesh in Cadian flesh tone, and I picked out his socks in khaki, his boots and his holster and his belt, and the strap to the holster was all in Doonball brown, I think it was. He's got a piece of paper in his hand which he's just finishing off white, binoculars painted black. So as I say, I quite like the way this has turned out. It's just a very simple dio, but I think it will add something to the build. So I shall get my turntable, get the armoured car, and we'll see it all as one complete build. So here it is, guys, all together. The armoured car, after it had its first coat of khaki, I gave it another coat, and then once that was dry, I used my clear floor polish to give it a gloss coat. Once that was dry, I put the decals on, and then I sealed them in with another coat of the clear floor polish. I tried something different on this build. I wanted to have a go at the Vallejo acrylic washes, and basically what you do is it's like a pin wash. You dab it onto the recesses and around the bolts and things like that, and the rivets, and whilst it's wet you can manipulate it a bit by removing it and trying to soften the effect of it. One thing about it though is that once it does dry, I couldn't shift it at all. You can't just put water back on it and it will reactivate it. It didn't work like that at all, unlike the oil technique where you use oil paints and create a wash out of those. If you go back in with thinners after, you can re-manipulate them. So I did that around, as I say, some of the raised detail. Once that was dry, I just did some chipping effect where I added a lighter colour of the khaki by adding Iraqi sand to it, and I did some chips and whatever, and then within those light khaki chips I then used Corvus black again to get that darker chip within, to look as if, you know, it's gone right down to the metalwork and you've got some slight rusting going on or whatever, or you've just got down to the primer on the paintwork. The other side of the Armoured car that's just coming round now, there was this item at the bottom, and I got an idea that that's like planks for it to get out of ditches and things like that. So although I'd painted it the khaki, I thought I would heavily chip that and try and get a bit of a wood effect bit underneath that, so it's not the Corvus black that you can see on the chips. It's actually Rhinoxide from Games Workshop, and then a highlight of Doombull Brown to try and give it a wood effect. The last thing that I did on this was I just dry brushed some of the flat earth on the tyres, and then dry brushed a bit on the vehicle itself, just to give the impression that it's been through the mud a bit. Now, I didn't realise when I put the decals on this particular kit, there's some wording on the back of the vehicle, and I couldn't work out what it said. I'm talking about this here, and it's on the opposite side as well. And the wording on there actually says "Up Sinn Féin." There's a photograph of this vehicle in 1920 in Ireland. It was basically deployed, I don't know if it was the 17th Tank Regiment. It was deployed during the Troubles in Ireland, and this vehicle was parked in a street next to a police station, I think it was, and I don't know whether there was a prison as well. So that's where this particular vehicle comes from. I wanted to just do like a country lane kind of scene, and so because I'd done the cobbles for the Cromwell, if you recall, I did a cobbled scene for that, and I just wanted to mess about with tufts of grass, so hence why it's out in the country. But so that's a bit of history about where this particular vehicle is placed in history. As I mentioned before, really enjoyed doing this build. I think this kit is just really nice, and if in 20 years time I have a bit of nostalgia about when I used to build kits when I was 55 or whatever, then hopefully this will be one that will create that nostalgia for me when I see it again, because it is just a really nice build and I highly recommend it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks ever so much, guys, for your encouragement during this build. I really appreciate it. It's Friday, so it's the start of the weekend, so I hope you have a cracking weekend and get loads of bench time and just have loads of fun. And I'll catch up with you soon.